On November 15, 2020, a Falcon 9 rocket stood vertical at Launch Complex 39A. Strapped inside the Dragon capsule at its peak were 4 astronauts: Michael Hopkins, Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi. A few months prior, the Demo 2 mission had verified that a Crew Dragon could safely transport humans to space. Now, this crew faced a new threshold, proving the system reliable enough for regular, repeated missions. Just days before liftoff, NASA officially signed the Human Rating Certification Plan. This signature formally closed the commercial crew development and test phase. The spacecraft, named Resilience, now had to manage a true operational load. That meant sustaining a full 4-person crew, executing complex autonomous maneuvers, and enduring a 6-month stay in low Earth orbit. If the vehicle faltered under these new demands, the commercial crew program would stall. If it succeeded, the United States would regain independent control over its astronaut logistics. The final sequence began at T-45 minutes with the propellant load. At 0, the Falcon 9 engines ignite, pushing the vehicle off the pad. This diagram traces the Falcon 9's trajectory. As the rocket ascends along this lower left arc, it rapidly accelerates through the lower atmosphere, hitting Max 2, the moment of peak mechanical stress on the vehicle. At 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the flight, the main engines cut off. The first and second stages separate, allowing the upper stage to push the capsule toward orbit. While the second stage accelerates, the first stage falls back to Earth. It executes an entry burn to slow down, followed by a final landing burn for a vertical touchdown on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. 12 minutes after launch, Crew Dragon detaches from the second stage and initiates the sequence to open its nose cone, exposing its forward docking systems. Clearing the launch and ascent phases safely validated the launch hardware, locking in the vehicle's orbital velocity and initiating a much more complex physics problem, catching the space station. This orbital diagram maps Dragon's flight path as it hunts down the International Space Station. Both vehicles are traveling at roughly 17,500 miles per hour. To close the distance, Dragon executes a series of delta-velocity orbit-raising maneuvers. Each thruster burn progressively elevates its altitude, aligning its path with the station. Once the capsule reaches the station's keep-out sphere, it transitions to fully autonomous relative navigation, calculating its own approach vectors without manual input. Nearly 27 hours after leaving Florida, Resilience docked cleanly with the Harmony module's forward port. Executing this rendezvous entirely on autonomous software proved the hardware could deliver repeatable precision. NASA required this baseline reliability to authorize regular operations. The crew equalized the pressure, opened the hatch, and moved into the orbiting laboratory, shifting the mission from active transit into a long-duration hold. The Dragon capsule now served as an attached habitat. Its environmental controls cycled oxygen, scrubbed carbon dioxide, and maintained temperatures, in the vacuum of space, for 167 consecutive days. This extended duration facilitated new operational milestones. Victor Glover became the first Black astronaut to complete a long-duration stay aboard the station. And for Soichi Noguchi, Resilience marked the 3rd different type of spacecraft he had flown to orbit, having previously launched on the Space Shuttle and the Russian Soyuz. On April 5th, the crew boarded Resilience, detached from the forward port, and autonomously flew the capsule to a space-facing port. This relocation cleared the way for the incoming Crew-2 mission. Surviving the thermal extremes for nearly half a year and cleanly executing a mid-mission flight maneuver demonstrated that the capsule was a durable, functional extension of the space station itself. This chart compares historic U.S. mission lengths. When Resilience undocked on May 2, 2021, the crew had logged 167 days in space, doubling the previous 84-day American duration record set by the final Skylab crew in 1974. Following departure, the spacecraft executes a deorbit burn to drop its altitude. As it hits the atmosphere at orbital velocity, friction generates a sheath of superheated plasma around the heat shield. This specific return introduced an additional environmental hazard. The trajectory targeted a splashdown off the coast of Florida in the middle of the night, completely removing natural visual references for the recovery teams. No crewed United States spacecraft had attempted a pre-dawn water landing since the Apollo 8 astronauts returned from the Moon in 1968. The main parachutes deployed successfully in the darkness, slowing the capsule to a gentle impact in the Gulf of Mexico, where SpaceX recovery ships quickly hoisted it from the water. Processing a safe recovery under the constraints of total darkness cleared the final operational hurdle on NASA's checklist. The Crew-1 mission delivered on its primary objective, establishing a functional, repeatable pathway for rotating personnel to the orbiting laboratory. By validating this commercial system in an operational setting, the United States ended a nearly decade-long reliance on Russian rockets for human space access. The hardware itself was pulled from the ocean and shipped to a SpaceX processing facility in Florida for inspection and refurbishment. Engineers then began a distinct modification to Resilience. Because its next flight wouldn't dock with a space station, the forward docking adapter was removed and replaced with a 3-layer glass cupola. By definitively proving that a commercial spacecraft could safely transport government astronauts, this exact capsule laid the groundwork for Inspiration 4, a mission that would carry the first all-civilian crew into orbit.